Alrighty, hello and welcome to this build guide for I haven't come up with a name at all. This is a Flame Reave build. If you ever played Spellblade Flame Reave, it's a big wave that comes out and just does crazy damage. I'm having a ton of fun with this build. I'm having so much fun with this patch with the new Monolith of Fate stuff. I've been pushing builds a whole lot further than I have in the past. This character is 94. I did a character before at 92. Those are the only two characters I pushed the entire patch so far. I also did an entire account reset. Like, I deleted all my characters and my stash, treated it like a league. So this is all stuff I've done in the past like week. That's how much I'm enjoying the new Monolith of Fate stuff. But I want to make a build guide on this because a lot of people are asking about it, because it's a lot of fun. It looks cool, and it's performing really well. We're currently pretty deep into empowered monolith farming for blessings, and not really having any problems with it in any shape, way, shape, or form, whether it be shade, whether it be the bosses themselves. Most of the modifiers are generally fine. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show what it looks like to play it, and we'll talk about the pros and cons while I'm playing. Hopefully I can do that. Yeah, multitasking is not necessarily one of my strong suits, but I do talk while I stream, so hopefully I can do that. So there's a lot of pros in this build. I want to start with some of the big ones for like newer players. This build is actually very new player friendly. It does not require gear to work well. It works very well without gear. And when you get gear, it just scales even better. And it's not especially hard to play. It's pretty much tap them like three to five times with Firebrand, and then Flame Reave. That's the majority of the build. You can see I've even got Enchant Weapon on autocast, which is not the most efficient way to play it, but it's really easy to do it. So I just do that and I watch my timer on it. And then I've got, there comes some gifted subs in the chat, but I don't hear the sound. Nice try, Solarius. Thank you so much for the gift subs, man. Much appreciated, dude. I'll get to that after the build guide. So yeah, it's really easy to play. It's very strong. The offensive capabilities here, you can see, are just really good. Its AoE is tremendous, but its single target is also very solid. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to kill a boss. You can get like 80k crits on bosses, not on target, or not on training dummy, but actually on bosses, so that's awesome. It's also quite tanky. Yeah, I'm usually at no less than 3k EHP, and I'm sitting at like 50% armor right now. And then Flame Ward itself gives you a lot of DR as well. So yeah, very fun, very strong. There's really only one major negative I can think of. Like, it's actually pretty quick too. It gets around the map pretty quickly. It's not the fastest, but it is a good farm build because of its AoE clear. The only thing I can say is a negative is I've played this before in arena, and it's just not very good in arena. As much as I pushed this particular character, he'd probably do fairly well in the arena, but it's always going to be limited because it's a pretty close melee with not quite enough DR. It's not like Vengeance has a lot of damage reduction. Even Vengeance struggles compared to some of the like top tier builds. So at some point they're just going to start to stun you a lot in the arena, and it's going to be really bad. I've also switched this build from dual wield to a shield for the same reason, because even in empowered monos, stunning was pretty rough. But with this shield, the damage is still really high, and I've even got a shield that gives me crit multi, which is awesome. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of negatives. There's mostly all positives. It's just a whole lot of fun to play. It's really enjoyable. So if you're looking for something that's fun, that doesn't take a whole lot to gear, but does scale really well with gear, that you can play right out of the box, you don't need any uniques to actually play it. There's only one unique that makes a significant difference to the playstyle, which is Sunwreath. And what it does is it basically just gives you the circle around. So like, we get that big circle there. That's because of Sunwraith. You can get it in the passive too, but we can skip the points to get there. But what you do is, if you don't have it, is you'll just do a conal attack, and everything else is the same basically. So you can play it just like this until you get the ring, and then put the ring on, and then you just have, you know, the extra AoE, and so it's very playable right out of the box. No issues whatsoever. Transient rest, hey, those, I'm actually gonna talk about those later. So yeah, so let's get into, well, I just talked about the skill level. It's new player friendly. It's not hard to play. It's an active play style. It's, you know, it's Firebrand then Flame Reave, but it's really easy to do that. And it's very gear generally independent. So no issues at all with that. You can play it right out of the box, no problems. As far as like future patch considerations, I don't know there's a whole lot of worry. Like it's doing a lot of damage. There's always the potential that something that's doing a lot of damage could get nerfed. But typically, if something doesn't perform extremely well in the arena, it might get overlooked. And this one, like I said, is not like a huge arena push. So the only thing I would think is maybe the interactions with the more multipliers between Firebrand and Flame Reave in the passive could get looked at some point. But I don't have like any serious concerns about it. I don't think its performance is so out of scale that it's going to get a huge nerf anytime soon. So I'm not too worried about future patch. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the actual build, starting with the skill trees themselves. We will start with, actually, before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about leveling with this, because you can't level with it out of the box. That is the one issue, but you can level something kind of similar that can transition into it. So let me give you what that looks like real quick. So you can't do Firebrand, you can't do Flame Reave to start with, right? That's okay, because you can do his Mana Strike, and you're going to be Lightning to begin with, but that's okay. You can transition to Fire later. And what you're going to do here is you're going to just take a staff, and you're going to run Mana Strike with Mana Storm and 2 points in Explosive Flurry and 4 points in the Spark Charges, and you're just going to run that until you get up to Flame Reave and Firebrand, and that will carry you all the way. It's a lot of damage. Just run the staff, go all the way up there. Then once you get to Flame Reave and Firebrand, you can make the adjustment. Then you can switch over to a sword. But you're good to go until then. And once you're up to Flame Reave and Firebrand, you can go sword and board, or you can go dual wield for a while if you want, or even two-hander. All of those work perfectly fine. The shield isn't really necessary until you get to empowered monos. Before that, the damage isn't high enough to really be a big concern. So that's really all you need to do. That's different from what I'm doing now when you're leveling. If you do that, follow the rest of this, you're good to go. Okay, let's go into Firebrand. So the goal here is we're doing two things really with Firebrand. We are buffing our Flame Reave damage and causing it to guarantee crit, and we're also gaining ward from it. We're using it as a ward generator. So the first thing you want to do is take 3 into Searing Brand, which is kind of wasted points, but you need it to... Actually, I could take these out technically. Not know where I'd put them. Maybe I will do that. While I'm doing the build guide, I'm like, hey, I can actually take these out and put them over here. I might do that, but for the start, you're good to just go here. Incineration, and then Illuminating Fire. So Incineration is going to give you more damage to a non-Firebrand attack per stacks of Firebrand that you have on when you do the non-Firebrand attack, which is Flame Reave. And then Illuminating Fire is going to give you a guaranteed crit with at least 3 stacks of Firebrand, which you're always going to want to do that. You're always going to want to attack at least 3 times with Firebrand, and then you're going to want to do your Flame Reave. From there, you're going to go and you're just going to take Fulmination for the attack speed, so you can get to your 3 to 5 a lot quicker. Then you're going to go with your ward. So Pyro Shielding and Fading Flame. Those are the only 2 you really need on this build. This one here is not going to be a big buff for you, so I skip it. And then you can go 2 in Wildfire, and then finish off in Insulation. You can switch these over if you want to. Like I said, I haven't done that yet, but you could do that if you want to, or you can just leave it there. It's fine either way. That's all Firebrand. Let's actually go to Flame Reave next, so you can see how the interaction works together. So Firebrand's giving you the more damage and the crit, but you need to do something else with Flame Reave to get the full benefit. You're going to take 4 from Dancing Flames, which is a little bit of a waste, but that's okay. Because what you're going to get is every 4th use of Firebrand, you're going to get additional width and damage. That means you attack 3 times with Firebrand, you use Flame Reave, that's your 4th use, because you're also going to take Versatility, which allows Firebrand or Mana Strike to count as a use on Rhythm of Fire. So 3 Firebrands or more, it actually goes above, so you don't have to like do it on 3, because this counts as the points, but it's not actually it's not actually Flame Reave. You could hit like 10 times. You could go for Firebrand, 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 however many times you want to. When you do actually use Flame Reave, this will still go off, so you don't have to worry about like counting perfectly. You're totally fine. As long as you do at least 3, you're good to go. From there, you're going to take a bunch of more multipliers. So you're going to take Arcane Severance, then you're going to take Emperor Infusion. I would start with 3 in this and finish off with the 4th one later, because you're going to want more multipliers. And then as soon as you can, you're going to take Flame Caller, because this actually gives you like 2 hits on it. It's not like as much as the first one, but it's a lot of damage on the return as well. So this gives you the double hit every time you do Flame Reave. Then you're going to take 2 in Heat Wave. You're going to take 2 in Slash and Burn to get over to Scorching Tide, and then you're going to take 3 in that. Make sure you have enough Ignite that's worthwhile, but even like a small amount from some item here. I'm wearing Eye of Rain, so it's really easy for me to get Ignite, but a small amount like in your idols or somewhere on your gear, just to make sure you have enough to where Scorching Tide is going off consistently, because you do need to be igniting to do that. But once you've done that, you're gonna do a whole lot of damage right out of the box just with this setup, regardless of your gear. Okay, next up, let's go to enchant weapon, because that's another buff for your actual damage. We're gonna start with 5 of 5 in celerity and 5 of 5 molten steel. This is an awesome, like, there's a lot of damage when you add this on there. Just the 25 base is really great. And then my chat is trying really hard to distract me. They're trying super hard right now. And then the melee attack speed on this is awesome. From there, you're going to go down and take 4 in enchant weapon active or in concentration, so it's enchant weapons active for longer, and 4 in efficacy. You do not need to take kindling blade if you have a number pad keyboard. If you want to autocast, you can just use my autocast guide to see how to do it. If you don't have that and you really want to autocast, you can take this too. It's fine. Just take 1 less than shivering blade. But shivering blade's nice because it gives us a chill chance, and chill is good for damage reduction because the enemy attacks less often. Next up, let's talk about Flame Ward. Flame Ward's a big defensive buff, but it's also a damage buff, so it's kind of playing both roles. Take 2 in Stalwart Defense, 1 in Desperate Defense, and then take Astonish, which is going to give you Flame Ward when you're stunned, so it's a really good defense if you get stunned, which is oftentimes how you'll die in this build. If you get stunned, you can't move, and you're going to be in melee range already. You can get just overwhelmed really quickly. This helps you out because it gives you the damage reduction and the ward as soon as you get stunned. As long as you have a Flame Ward available to you. And then 2 in Fuel the Flames and Dual Aegis to get additional charge. From there, we can do some damage stuff. Start with 1 in Dilation and take 4 in Through Flames and 1 in Flamer. This is actually for your speed. So what you can do is while you're running through a map, you can just hit this and you'll go 20% faster, which gets you through the map a lot quicker. And also 2 in Infusion for increased fire damage. So between these two, you've got base fire damage added when it's up, you've got increased fire damage, so that's a nice little buff. And then you can finish up with Barrier, which is gonna be really good, especially in Powered, where it's even less hit damage taken. Flame Ward's already got 30% less damage, so this is another 40%. So you'll have a 30 and a 40 on there, so a lot of damage reduction when you have Flame Ward actually active. The last one you have is Surge. Surge is your movement ability, but it also is a ward generator. So you're going to start by taking Long Strider as soon as you can, just for additional travel distance, so you can go faster. And you'll want to go up here and take Flaming Surge because it allows you to ignite. So remember, we need ignites to get the more damage from Flame Reave. This is a really good way to get it very easily. From there, you go back down and finish up both Storm Aegis and Shielding a Flux, which will give you maximum ward. And finish off with Insulation for a little bit extra ward generation on top. That's the skills. Let's go to the passives. You might have noticed the passive UI is way different. I'm still adjusting to it, but I think we're in a pretty good state at this point. I think I've had enough hours in. We're going to take 8 of 8 in Arcanist in the base class and 2 in Scholar. The fire resist lateness here is really nice, but the intelligence on this build is great. Intelligence increases your damage, but also your ward retention. It's just a really good stat for this particular build. We're going to take 1 in Reactive Ward just so we can get up and get to Warden. Take 5 of 5 in that. And while we're there, we're going to take Mage Flurry for increased attack speed so we can get to our Flame Reaves faster. From there, you're going to go into Spellblade. Don't go into Sorcerer yet, that's going to be later. Spellblade, we're going to take 6 of 6 in Elemental Affinity. We're going to take 8 of 8 in Infused Weapon. We're going to take 8 of 8 in Arcane Warden. This is going to give you a big ward generation, by the way. This is going to give you 18% elemental resistance and the elemental damage, which is like a really nice node. And then this is a big base damage buff. A huge part of your damage reduction is Arcane Shielding and Shattered Aegis. Arcane Shielding is going to give you reduced damage taken and ward per second, but we're also going to go ahead and convert it into a stacking buff that also gives you increased armor per Arcane Shield. So we're going to have a lot of armor in this build. We're also going to take Essence Duel for the melee attack speed and more ward gained on melee hit. I have Gemini in here. I should probably take it out. You can feel free to do that if you want additional damage when you're going through the normal monoliths before you get to the empowered monoliths. You can wear like 2 Eye of Reins or just two really good weapons and do even more damage. That's totally fine to do, or you can just skip this altogether if you don't want to go dual wielding. We're going to take 5 of 5 in Mana Reaver, which is really our only way of gaining mana. For the most part, it won't be a problem, but if you're surging a whole lot, being able to stop and use Firebrand to gain back some mana is pretty valuable. From there, we've got 3 of 8 in Prismatic Blade. I've got 10 of 10 here, but come back and get this later. Your primary objective here is to get Blade Weaver to 5, and then go over and take Mental Fortitude and Prodigy for the ward gain you're going to get and the intelligence from these. These are really strong. You're taking Blade Weaver, and it's a really important node because it's going to give you another more multiplier on top. We're only taking 5 because any more than that is just kind of overkill, and it makes you more vulnerable because it's taking you longer to actually kill the enemy. So 5 is plenty. If you have 5, you're going to get 75% more damage. If you do three attacks to get this, you're going to do 45% more. So either way, you're getting a lot more damage. Very useful in that way. And how it works, it's really simple. It's going to go very synergistically with what you're already doing. You don't have to do anything different. It's just when you're attacking with Firebrand, it's going to build up these stacks. And then when you attack with Flame Reave, since it's more than 10 mana to use Flame Reave, you're going to consume those stacks for more damage. Very, very easy to use. But once you're done that, go down and finish up on Volca's Razor. And then once you've got all that stuff done, take Mana Shell for the additional 80 armor. From here, what I'm going to do, this is 94, so there's not a whole lot left. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish up with Prismatic Blade. And that will be the entirety of all of your investment. You'll be good to go with that. Okay, let's talk about gear. So, like I said, gearing in this one is like there's no absolutely must-haves. The closest is Sunwreath, but not absolutely must-have. Eye of Reen is a big damage buff. You definitely want it, but you do not need it to run the build and run it well. These are both random world drops, so you just have to kind of hope they drop, or you can try to gamble for them. So gamble the Katana, or gamble the Ruby Ring if you really want to try to get them. The other unique I have in here right now is Bulwark of the Last Abyss, which is, you can find this on the Fall of the Empire normal timeline. You just run that and to get it, I think it's the 85% drop, so there's a very good chance you'll get it. And why I'm running with this particular one over other shields is for a couple of reasons. It's got really high block chance, so it's actually being used often. The increased armor is awesome for what we're doing. And then we got the melee critical strike multiplier during Apocalypse, and Apocalypse will be going on constantly. Like, you'll always have it. That's a lot of crit strike multi, and since we're guaranteed crit on our Flame Reave, that's a big damage buff. It definitely helps to circumvent the fact that we're not dual wielding, which is more damage. This takes care of a lot of the best value of the dual wield, and still gives us a lot of tankiness, and takes away that 15% more damage taken that we're going to get for dual wielding. So it's just a really easy thing to go with. You'll notice that my health keeps dropping here. That's from Apocalypse, but it's okay because you're gonna be running with 2 to 3k ward. And if you just put like one bit of leech anywhere, like I've got 1.2% leech health on hit here, you will pretty much go right back up to full health anytime you use Flame Reave. So you'll still be probably like 70-80% of your health, but if you're dropping into your health, like in a fight, you're already kind of in trouble. You shouldn't be getting through your ward into your health anyway. So not a big deal to be dropping some of our HP, because it's really like we're not trying to get to that point where we need it anyway. Okay, as far as other stats, int is great. You really want intelligence wherever you can. I've got intelligence here, I got intelligence here. I've got a really juicy intelligence here, intelligence here. Like wherever I can get it, just about I'm putting intelligence. That's for the ward retention as well as the increased damage. Are just so synergistic with this build. You will always want movement speed in your boots. Your resistance is capped, of course. You want that as well. A little bit of health in your gear is not bad either. If you can find some health, especially like the increased health here. I actually don't have any here. I thought I had some here too, but if you can get a little bit on there, that's good too. But once you get into the later game, you're going to want to start putting some armor on your gear, because you've got the increased armor from here. I've got 64. This can actually go to 90, so you can get a lot of increase there. And of course, you've got the increased from over here too. So let me actually show you what it looks like when you start to scale that stuff. Am I at the end of time? No, I'm not. Let's go there. I've also got an armor blessing, so this is going to be more than you're probably going to see until you get pretty deep into empowered. But still, even if you're running at like 2k in early empowered, you're going to be fine. So you see, I'm running at 3k armor here, just from a little bit of armor in the blessing and some of my gear. With all those increases, that's 50% fizz reduction, and how much was it? 35% of all the other. That's a lot of damage reduction, and that applies to ward, whereas like endurance doesn't. So definitely better than that. A little bit of mana regen if you need it. Not a really big deal. Try to crit avoidance cap. Once you get into empowered, start thinking about it. I'm still not crit avoidance capped, and like I said, we've been pushing this stuff for a while now. Like we've been in empowered for a good long time. I'm only at 71%. I'm still fine. So don't worry too much about that. See, other offensive stuff you need. Plus to Flame Reave is great on your chest. +2 if you can get it. There's a long term, like if you really want to push this, if you really want to go for a chase, I'll eventually be going for Wings of Argentus, which gives damage reduction on movement, a +1 to melee fire, so it can take over for that that Flame Reave thing, increased melee fire, and less damage taken while moving is great. Plus the gain haste for 1 second on hit. Since our surge hits, that's a good chance to get a little bit of extra haste out of that. But if you don't have that, it's totally fine to have an int Flame Reave chest piece, especially if you get one with ward retention on the base. That'd be great. CDR is always great on pretty much any build because it speeds up the time for whatever your movement skill is. In this case, it's surge, so I'm at 3.1 from that, as well as from a 13% surge on my idols. But it also speeds up enchant weapon and flame ward, so it's really, really good. Increased CDR is pretty much a must-have in my opinion. Let's see what else you need. Anything else? Fire pen is great on your amulet. Yeah. There's not like gearing's not super complicated. If you can get ward per second relic, that's great too. +2 to flame ward is great. As an additional, just increase the power of flame ward's got so many great nodes that you can never have too much of it. And if you got some crit multi anywhere, that's also really good. As far as idols go, there's a lot of room to mix and match what you want in here. So I move stuff around a lot. Ward gen per second is great for defense. Increased melee elemental damage is great for offense. Increased CDR for surge is great for just clear speed. Fire damage obviously great for offense too. Another ward generate per second here. The ward granted when casting flame ward is just like whatever, but the ward gen per second is really good. And then you can use the rest of it to fill out like ward retention, health, resistances, a little bit of leech if you want it. Fire damage, all this stuff is pretty flexible. There's a lot you can do with your idols. I love the new idol system, by the way, because there's so many things I can put in here now. I don't feel like I'm stuck with 4 of the same, so I really like that. Anything I missed? Oh yeah, blessings. Let's talk about blessings really quick. So ideally, like I've got crit multi in here. Also void res is really good in here. Did I pick up what I get in here? I don't have the crit multi right now. I've got something else. Let's see what I've got. I am blessing farmer right now, so it's a little, I've got void res right now. That's totally fine too. If you find yourself having plenty of void res and no need to put it off onto your blessings, you can go with the crit multi. Whoops. As far as the Lagan one, ward per second is really solid, but there's also other resistances there that you can go with. I think I got something else there too. Yeah, I got lightning resistance. At some point I'll go for ward per second there. Crit avoidance from the Reign of Dragons for sure. You can go fizz res there, but crit avoidance on that is just so good. I'd eventually be pushing for that. I do have that one right now, but I have the non-empowered version. Actually fizz res is on the Age of Winter. I got that one wrong. So that's all resist also. You can get all resist there. Fizz resist on the Age of Winter is great, and then fire shred when you get to the empowered. Otherwise you can just do some defensive thing there, like fire resistance I guess could go there, but something like that would probably be preferable. What do I have there right now? I didn't get the fires. Oh right, that's got the armor one. Yeah, that's the other one. If you want to go defense, go armor with that one, or go chance to apply frailty on hit. Either one of those is really good. If you want to go offense, go chance to shred armor. That's really up to you. Okay, that's everything for that. The rotation, like I said, is really simple. Just cover it really quickly again. Enchant weapon either on autocast or whenever you want to use it. Either one's up to you. 3 to 5 firebrands, and then flame reave. 3 to 5 firebrands, and then flame reave. Really easy. You can use flame ward when you want to. You can use it for an offensive or defensive buff. It works either way. But if you get stunned, it'll go off for you automatically, which is awesome. And surge to get around and build some ward. If you go through enemies with surge, that's better because it actually gives you ward per enemy hit and when it hits an enemy. So that's preferable to just not hitting anything, but don't worry too much about it. You're gonna have a lot of areas where you don't have an enemy to hit, and that's fine. That is the entirety of this build. I hope you enjoy it. I'm having so much fun with it. It is freaking amazing. If you want to watch me play it or build other builds, as we're going to get into those I'm sure relatively soon, feel free to come hang out with us on Twitch. We're all relatively friendly, most of us, right guys? You're generally friendly. No, we're really friendly there. If you're new, feel free to come and hang out with us too and ask questions. I answer the most basic questions. I'm happy to do so. We also have a Discord where we do the same thing, just hang out, talk, ask questions. And if you have any questions you just want to ask in YouTube in the comment section below, feel free to do that as well. I'm happy to answer anywhere that is comfortable for you. All right, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really have a great time with the build, as I have, and I'll see you all again real soon.